Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. Barely 4 months as chairman of the Dangerous Drugs Board, retired General Dionisio Santiago resigns from his post. Here's why from Victor Casare.
UNTV has confirmed from retired General Dionisio Santiago himself that he has tendered his irrevocable resignation as chief of the Dangerous Drugs Board. Santiago's resignation comes in the wake of comments that construction of a large-scale drug rehabilitation facility in Nueva Ecija had been a mistake, which is believed to have dismayed the chief executive.
Hindi naman mistake. Sabi ko, I think miscalculation is the better term.
According to a source, Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea told Santiago to resign as directed by President Duterte. Santiago also said that he has already submitted a DDB strategic plan to tackle the drug menace in the country prior to his resignation. But before his statement, Santiago mentioned in the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon that in case he leaves the agency, that will only be because of 2 reasons.
So hindi kita madidinig magre-resign.
Ba't ako magre-resign?
So pagka halimbawang nawala ka dyan, hindi ka nag-resign.
Tinanggal ako.
Yun natin.
Dalawa lang yun eh. Sabi ko, hindi ko magre-resign. Hindi tinanggal ako.
The palace has yet to confirm Santiago's resignation. Victor Casare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Relocation of Yolanda survivors to new housing units provided by the government is likely to be completed in the next 2 years. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
It was in 2013 when Typhoon Yolanda wreaked havoc in the Philippines, particularly in the central part of the country. According to the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, more than 1 million houses were damaged and about half were totally destroyed. Since 2014, the National Housing Authority or NHA has started its Yolanda housing project, but until now, only 40% has been completed. Around 26,000 units already occupied. The agency is targeting occupancy of 50,000 units by the end of this year. NHA officials say complying with the necessary documents is part of the delays in the project, aside from the tedious bidding process.
During the Yolanda, most of the titles, especially in Tacloban, nawala yung owner's duplicate copy. So we have to go reconstitution of titles.
The NHA adds that local government units are also delayed in terms of providing the list of beneficiaries.
Minsan, medyo mabagal din yung pagbigay nila ng mga list. And then, after giving us the list, we have to validate on ground kung talagang nandun pa sila.
Also, the group Community of Yolanda Survivors and Partners complains that materials used in the housing projects were substandard.
Sa Eastern Samar ho, mayroong tinatawag na dancing houses. Kasi kahit walang tugtog, sumasayaw ang bahay sa ihip lang ng hangin at saka konting tulak.
The agency denies such claim and assures that no substandard unit will be awarded. NHA admitted that they did identify a unit which used an 8mm steel but argued that it was an isolated case. The agency assures such material will not be used again. The agency also promises to complete the installation of other parts of the unit once an occupant is confirmed.
Yung sinasabing removable items, yung subject to pilferage, hindi ho yan kinakabit kasi ito ho yung nananakaw. Like yung house wiring, yung jalousies, ikakabit ho yan pagkatapos ng raffle.
The NHA says if there will be no delays, it targets to finish the entire housing program before the year 2019 ends. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
A concerned group wants officials of the National Housing Authority and Agrarian Reform Department to answer the problems on Yolanda housing units and non-distribution of land to recognize farmers in Eastern Visayas. Abby Santa Ines will tell us why.
With almost 4 years since the onslaught of Typhoon Yolanda, several members of Katarungan Eastern Visayas found the National Housing Authority or NHA and the Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR due to the alleged anomalous activities of some of the agency's employees. The group went to the NHA office in Sagkahan, Tacloban to complain about the substandard housing. Katarungan spokesperson Don Daganaso says the government had allotted 290,000 pesos for every housing unit. But the group alleges that the NHA and its contractor for the housing project used only 120,000 pesos for every unit of what they call the dancing houses.
Sa pagkakalam po namin, nasa 290,000 po ang kabuuan ng presyo ng pagpapagawa ng bahay, kasama na po yung land development. Pero sa lumalabas po ngayon ay nasa 120,000 lang po yung bahay. So nasaan yung more than half?
Katarungan also opposed the transfer of funds from the Yolanda corridors to the Marawi City Rehabilitation Project.
Anong nangyari? Nagkaroon sila ng mass transfer. Pero nasaan ngayon yung mga tao na pilit nilang inilipat sa mga relocation sites? Bumabalik sa dating tirahan. Bakit? Kulang sa tubig, ilaw, kabuhayan, malayo sa kanila. Kaya sana nagkaroon muna ng konsultasyon sa mga tao kung ano ba talaga ang pangangailangan.
Katarungan also slams DAR for not awarding certificates of land ownership for worthy farmers and for land conversion.
Ang isang irrigated land ay hindi dapat kini-convert sa anumang uri ng paggamit ng lupa. Dahil sa food sovereignty, sa climate change, nasisira po ang ating kalikasan dahil sa mga illegal conversion po na ginagawa po ng Region 8.
The group hopes for a quick action from the government on the matter. Abby Centinez, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, SSS Commissioner Jose Gabriel Pompi Lavinia is now investigating 2 of the 4 SSS officials implicated in the stock trading controversy after he received new information against them. Here's why from Grace Kasi.
May sumbong na tumatanggap ng suhol at least 2 of the 4. Wala naman siguro nabibigay ng pera na walang kapalit. Natatanggap nilang suhol ay porsyento ng volume ng business, kung magkano ang binigay naming negosyo sa isang stockbroker. Nasa 6 figures.
This was the statement of SSS Commissioner Pompi Lavinia regarding 2 of the 4 officials of the agency already linked in the stock trading issue. Lavinia refused to mention which 2 of 4 SSS executives were involved in the latest probe. The 4 implicated officials are SSS Executive Vice President for Investment Zaldi Capulong, Vice President for Equities Investment Division Reginald Candelaria, Equities Product Development Head Ernesto Francisco Jr., and Actuarial and Risk Management Division Chief George Ongkeko Jr. Lavinia maintains there is nothing wrong with his disclosures of information pertaining the controversies the agency is now facing.
I will be criminally liable if I don't say anything. That is higher than any concerns about restrictions on information.
The commissioner vows to put in detail all evidences he has during the House investigation on the matter. In the resolution filed by Makabayan congressmen, they want the investigation to cover not only the 4 officials but all high-ranking officials of SSS.
May mga matataas din na opisyal sa SSS na gustong paboran ang mga investments, no?
Lavinia will propose to the Social Security Commission and the lower house to bar any SSS official from owning stocks in the agency. Grace Casen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Authorities are confident of the smooth flow of events in line with the 3-day Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit in the country. Leia Lagan tells us why.
The Philippine government is very much prepared to handle this event. We are optimistic that we will be able to handle this event and provide safety and security to all the delegates and the general public as well.
The Multi-Agency Coordination Center, or MACC, has 21 representatives from various agencies of the government. Representative of various ASEAN countries will also be here to monitor the movement of the convoys of the delegates from the hotel until they reach the Philippine International Convention Center or PICC, where the Association of Southeast Asian or ASEAN Summit will be held. A total of 60,000 security personnel for the ASEAN Summit. 19,000 of them are policemen who will man Clark, Pampanga, Manila, and Southern Luzon. According to the head secretariat of the Committee on Security, Peace and Order Emergency, Police Chief Superintendent Nestor Bergoña, they have leveled up the security for the ASEAN Summit. Bergoña says they even invited the International Police or Interpol to monitor the event.
We realize a different threat environment now. That's why nilevel din up na din natin yung ating security management. Preparations. We prepared this for almost 1 year ASEAN meetings now. We have a total of 282 meetings as compared during the APEC, 444 only.
Several roads in Metro Manila will also be closed to traffic beginning tomorrow dawn. Some parts of the CCP complex will be on a partial lockdown. The stretch of Rojas Boulevard will be on full lockdown starting November 12.
Sa partial lockdown, inaalaw pa rin yung mga employees, yung other selected na personnel ang makapasok sa CCP complex. But the complete lockdown, wala nang basta-basta makapasok doon.
Authorities will also hold a 6 convoy dry run at 12:01 in the morning to 4 a.m. They will also implement a stop and go on all types of vehicle beginning November 13 to 15 along areas where the convoy will pass through. Trucks and closed vans are also not allowed along the North Luzon Expressway beginning November 13 to 15 after the given window hour of 12:01 to 4 in the morning. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Various militant groups will hold a series of protests against the upcoming visit of United States President Donald Trump to the Philippines. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
The militant group Bagong Alyansang Makabayan or Bayan believes the visit to the Philippines of United States or U.S. President Donald Trump will do no good. The group claims Trump will only drag the country into a war and will use the Philippine territory to install more U.S. military bases.
Tingin namin si Trump pupunta sa Pilipinas para ipahamak yung mga Pilipino. Gusto niya tayong kaladkarin sa gera sa North Korea. Gusto niyang maglunsad ng war on terror dito sa Pilipinas at payagan silang lumahok sa combat operations at drone strikes sa mga Muslim communities.
Bayan Secretary General Renato Reyes notes Trump's visit might pave way for a bigger U.S. military intervention in the Philippines. In line with this, Bayan will hold a series of protests together with other militant groups during the visit of the U.S. President. The Makabayan bloc of the House of Representatives will also participate in the demonstrations that will be held from Friday to November 14.
Si Trump ang racist, sexist, fascist, warmongering chief ng US imperialism. Kaya siya pupunta rito dito sa bahaging ito ng Asia para pagtibayin muli ang paghahari ng US, ng imperialismong US sa bahaging ito ng mundo.
Trump is set to arrive in the country on the 12th of November alongside the conduct of the 31st Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit and the 50th founding anniversary of the regional bloc. However, Bayan Muna believes there is no reason to celebrate the ASEAN anniversary.
Sa tingin ko, walang dapat i-celebrate dito sa 50th founding anniversary ng ASEAN, bagkus dapat kundinahin ito dahil ito ay lalong nagdulot ng kahirapan sa mga mamamayan ng ASEAN. At in fact, in the past 50 years, ASEAN countries or ang ASEAN region ay naging lunsaran din ng mga gera na nilulunsad, particular ng Estados Unidos sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Magmula doon sa Cold War hanggang doon sa War on Terror na nilulunsad ngayon, dito pa rin sa ASEAN, yung kanilang lunsaran.
The Philippines holds the chairmanship of the ASEAN for this year. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Today marked the first day of the newly created manpower transition team for the maintenance of the MRT Line 3 trains. The team was welcomed by another glitch in the train's operation, which again angered commuters. Abby Santa Ines tells us why.
Train operations were disrupted anew this morning in MRT Line 3 southbound. Passengers were asked to alight due to a certain technical problem. After a while, the train returned to normal operation, but the glitch caused a long queue of passengers at MRT North Avenue Station. The situation irked the already exhausted commuters.
Ayos yung mga nila, yung mismong train. Kasi di ba, ang mahal nung binabayad ngayon, 20 each or more than that. Pero parang hindi na pupunta sa tamang kung saan dapat punta. Tsaka minsan din, yung kulang yung train, yung kulang talaga. So, para pinupuno muna nila kahit siksikan na bago nila paandarin.
2 tons pa lang nangyari. Yung sa may, hanggang ano lang siya, hanggang Shaw Boulevard. Siguro sa maintenance nila, kumbaga hindi sila active siguro. Tsaka sa kalumaan na sa tagal ng taon na siya. Siguro palitan na lang ng bago. Total may bago na dumating, di ba? Tsaka yun na lang alagaan nila na mas lalo pang ma-improve yung transport.
Only 12 trains in operation today at MRT Line 3. A newly formed transition team was tasked to do the maintenance of the trains after the Transport Department terminated its contract with the former maintenance provider Busan Universal Rail Incorporated or BURI. Malacanang agrees with the termination. According to presidential spokesman Harry Roque, the president is already fed up with the reports of the continuous glitches in the operations of MRT trains. Roque notes it is reasonable for the DOTR to terminate its contract with BURI and to go after the former government officials responsible for the current dismissal condition of MRT.
Patunay po yan na hindi napapayag ang presidente na patuloy ang palpak na serbisyo na binibigay ng mga kontratista ng ating MRT at LRT. Hindi lang po kinansilang kontrata, pero naintindihan ko po ang DOTC ay magsasampa rin ng kaso laban dun sa mga tao na naging dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng perwisyo ang ating mga mamamayan.
Meanwhile, Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate says the government should have ordered the cancellation of contract with BURI much sooner.
Matagal na dapat na kinansela ng DOTR itong kontrata with BURI, no? At nanawagan tayo sa DOTR na wag gawing palabigasan at pagkakapirahan itong MRT na baka meron na namang naglalaway dyan na makuha itong multi-million contract ng maintenance, ano?
He adds that it is a must for the government to have a more extensive reform program on public mass transportation.
Ang problema ng MRT ay hindi lang signaling system. Ang problema ng MRT ay hindi lang kakulangan ng mga consumables or yung mga spare parts. Dapat komprehensibo, no? Problema ang relays niyan, lahat-lahat. Ultimo escalator niyan ay problema.
Abby Santa Ines, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Next on Y News. Policeman killed in action in Marawi City given hero's welcome in his hometown in Pampanga.
Mayor seeks to arm barangay peacekeepers in his area after 20 Abu Sayyaf members were spotted in the town of Piagapo, Lanao del Sur.
And Health Secretary Francisco Duque favors use of medical marijuana for research purposes.
Y News will be right back. A policeman who hailed from Pampanga was given a hero's welcome upon the arrival of his remains in his hometown in Pampanga. Rajeladora will tell us why.
Police Inspector Edwin V. Placido is just one of the members of the government troops who have sacrificed their lives to battle the Maute terrorist group that perpetrated the Marawi City siege. Police Inspector Placido, who hailed from Pampanga, was assigned in Marawi City for quite a while until he became the city's deputy chief of police. The police inspector contributed significantly in the operations against the terrorist group, thus a hero's welcome was prepared as his remains returned to his hometown.
They were the first one who sacrificed their lives.
Placido was among the first batch of fallen government troops members who fought against the terrorists in May. But due to the intense battles, it was only in September when his brother was able to recover his remains with his uniform and nameplate still intact. It also took a long process before his remains were brought back to his hometown.
Na-retrieve po siya noong September 14 pero noong September 18 lang siya nakuha ng DNA. Ngayon ang nakuha lang namin yung DNA result noong last Saturday.
For Edwin's brave wife, he is a hero and his family will always remember his heroism as he courageously fought for the nation against the ISIS-inspired terrorists.
Very proud po kami na isa siyang hero.
Police Inspector Placido's remains are expected to be buried at the libingan ng mga bayani. Regella Dora, UNTV News Rescue, Philippines.
The mayor of Piagapo, Lanao del Sur, has asked to arm all barangay peacekeepers under him. Here's why from Grace Casit.
Thorough security measures are still implemented in Marawi City and the entire Lanao del Sur. This after authorities have received reports of presence of armed men in the province.
The other day, mayroon ako natanggap na there were 20 armed men group from ASG, Abu Sayyaf, that came to our place.
With this development, Mayor Sumandar requests for the Barangay Peacekeeping Action Team or BPAT to be allowed to carry firearms due to the lack of police and military visibility in Piagapo. However, other mayors are not in favor of using firearms to the BPAT.
Ngayon, na-realize ko na hindi na kailangan. Mga leaders din na walaan na and presence in our area, mayroon din kaming military. Then I was also given TAPGO na authorized naman magdala ng baril.
AFP 1st Infantry Division Commander Brigadier General Roserel Murillo says the BPAT members need to undergo CAFGO training before being issued a firearms. Brigadier General Murillo adds the cooperation of every citizen is necessary, and it is also the obligation of every individual to monitor their areas.
Naibibigay nila sa atin, natutulong sila. Kasi anti-terrorism is not just a military concern. Counter-terrorism is ours. Kasi counteraction yan direct action. Kumbaga, may report ng terorista sa isang lugar, pupuntahan natin. The collective participation ng buong sektor ng lipunan sa fight natin against terrorism.
Nonetheless, the mayors of Lanao del Sur have agreed to beef up security measures in their respective vicinities. They're also in favor of the extension of martial law if need be.
Kung kinakailangan to maintain stability, to maintain peace and order dito sa, especially dito sa Lanao and Marawi City, then I would suggest that ipagpatuloy pa rin.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Office of the Ombudsman has created a panel to conduct a fact-finding on the alleged anomaly that led to the entrance of 6 billion peso worth of shabu shipment through the Bureau of Customs Green Lane. According to BOC's statement on its website, the agency mentions that the allegation was based on the testimony of customs broker Mark Ruben Taguba, the second implicating government officials in the illegal shipment. The Ombudsman's action is in accordance with the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte of creating a separate body who will investigate the issue. 10 individuals are now under investigation following arrest by the operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Regella Dora will tell us why.
Operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency arrested 10 individuals in an anti-drug operation in Sitio Kabatuhan, Barangay Genti de Leon, Valenzuela City this afternoon. The arrested drug suspects were nabbed for operating a drug den and using illegal drugs. Among the arrested were Marla Bersola and alias Calbo, who were also the subject of the operation. Seized from the group was several sachets of shabu inside a house which was turned into a drug den.
Nakita nyo naman kanina nung present yung surveillance video, di ba? Gamitan talaga itong bahay na ito at yung kabilang bahay. So present naman namin sa inyo bago tayo nag-operate. Sabihin na natin small time ito pero sa kanila po talaga ang bagsak ng droga eh. Saan man manggaling yung droga, dito sa consumer bumabagsak. Ay dapat natin tutukan lahat. Kasi kung maubos po natin tong consumer, precisely wala nang magbibenta at wala nang bibili. Ganun po kahalaga ito.
One of the suspects denies the allegation.
No, hindi. Di ako drug lord. Tag lord ako. Tag lord.
Anong tag lord?
Dumawa po ako sa mga tag-subok. Hindi sa akin yun.
Hindi sa inyo yun.
Dapat dito itinanim nyo. Hindi bato. Oo, mapapakulong ako pero hindi sa akin yun.
Meanwhile, 8 more individuals were arrested for being inside the house when the raid was executed. They are now under investigation. Rogel Adora, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Malacanang's new presidential spokesperson, Attorney Harry Roque, vows to continue pushing for the freedom of the press amid the criticisms against him by some Duterte supporters on social media. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Presidential spokesman Harry Roque has yet to reach his first week in the position, but he has already received criticisms from bloggers, known to be staunch supporters of President Rodrigo Duterte. The criticism stemmed from Secretary Roque's defense of mainstream media against some of the president's supporters. However, the palace spokesman says the next move regarding the call of the critics is up to the president himself.
What I will do is I will facilitate receipt of this information by the president. I will tell the president that Mr. Nieto has said that I should be removed. I will relay that to the president.
Despite the criticism, Secretary Roque vows to continue standing by his principles and the mandate given to him by President Duterte. First of this, Roque says, is the respect for the rights of legitimate journalists and even those working on social media platforms.
I have long been an advocate of freedom of expression. I leave it at that. That's the nature of this freedom. I do not deprive the social bloggers of their freedoms as well, and I take all the criticisms as valid inputs in the free marketplace of ideas.
The former party list representative formally took oath yesterday as the new spokesperson of the president. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is brewing a plunder complaint against Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Senator Richard Gordon and a libel suit against blogger RJ Nieto. Here's why from Joannan.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV says he is now readying the documents and copies of testimonies that he claims would strengthen the plunder case he will file against Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon. Trillanes says the plunder charges stem from Gordon's alleged anomalous use of the funds of the Philippine Red Cross when he was still its chairman.
Nung senador siya, nung first term niya, nag-allocate siya ng pondo sa Red Cross na habang chairman siya. Bawal yun. Parang Napoles scam yun. Kung titignan mo, walang problema, di ba? Red Cross naman yan eh. Kaso siya yung chairman, siya yung nagdi-disburse.
According to Trillanes, Gordon used the questionable funds for his campaign in the previous elections. Aside from the filing of the said complaint, the legislator also plans to write a letter to the Commission on Auditor COA and International Federation of Red Cross to conduct an audit on the Philippine Red Cross. Upon the opening of the Congress session, Trillanes says he will try to convince other senators to oust Gordon as the chairman of the Senate Blue Ribbon and Justice Committee.
Ito na ngayon ang ilalabas ko sa mga colleagues ko sa Senado that we would have a chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee na tasked primarily to investigate acts of corruption by public officials. Pero siya mismo ay may plunder at kung ano-ano pang mga anomalies na nagawa.
Senator Gordon has yet to release his comment on the issue, but the senator had claimed before that he did not receive any allowance or salary from the PRC. Aside from the said plunder case, the senator also filed an ethics complaint against Senator Gordon last month. Meanwhile, Trillanes plans to file a libel complaint against the controversial blogger of Thinking Pinoy, RJ Nieto. The allegations, the senator says, is in connection with Nieto's column where he claimed President Donald Trump called Trillanes a little narco. In the Facebook page of Thinking Pinoy, Nieto reacted to the libel complaint the senator plans to file against him. In his post, Nieto seems to belittle the said libel charge. Aside from Nieto, Trillanes will also file complaint against Manila Times columnist Ian Macabenta after she called the senator's interview with the BBC last June a 24-minute disaster. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Supreme Court has set oral arguments to discuss the petitions against the so-called war on drugs of the Duterte administration. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
The Supreme Court will hear the petitions challenging the Duterte administration's anti-drugs campaign in November 21. The High Court also directed the PNP, DILG and other respondents to comment on the consolidated petitions of Free Legal Assistance Group and Center for International Law.
GR number 234359, Eileen Almora and Rowena Apari versus Ronald De La Rosa et al. The court ordered the consolidation into this case of the petition in GR number 234484, Sister Maria Juanita Daño et al. Versus Philippine National Police et al. And directed the parties in these consolidated cases to comment on the petitions and the prayers for interim reliefs, such as the prayer for the TRO and the prayer for the writ of amparo, within a non-extendable period of 10 days from receipt of the order, and to present oral arguments before the court en banc on 21 November 2017, Tuesday, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Supreme Court en banc Session Hall.
Last month, FLAG filed a petition to stop the implementation of the so-called war on drugs. The group of human rights lawyers believe PNP memorandums implementing Project Double Barrel and Oplan Tukhang were unconstitutional. They said it expressly authorizes the policemen to kill suspected pushers, users, and drug personalities. The Center Law is also asking the court to stop the police from conducting anti-drug operations in 28 barangays of San Andres Bukid in Manila. They are also seeking protection for the residents as 35 were already killed in previous police raids. The petitioners said the police continue to participate in drug raids despite the order of President Duterte to let PDEA wage the war on drugs.
In fact, yung police pa rin yung panggagalingan ng lahat ng intelligence reports na aaktuhan ng PDEA. So indispensable pa rin yung cooperation saka yung action ng police.
They are also ready to defend their case before the justices.
Ganda yun. Ibig sabihin talagang gustong makita ng Supreme Court yung merito ng bawat petition.
Roderick Mendoza, UNTV, News and Rescue, Supreme Court.
And in other news, the Supreme Court has ordered the Senate to file their comment on the petition of Aegis Jurist Fraternity President Arvin Balag, seeking to stop the legislative investigation on the death of hazing victim Horacio Atio Castillo III. In his petition, Balag said the Senate inquiry is being done not in aid of legislation but in aid of prosecution. Balag also wants the SC to compel the Senate to release him, saying his detention violated due process. Balag was cited in contempt and ordered detained by the Senate for refusing to answer the questions of some senators.
In line with the implementation of the nationwide smoking ban, the Department of Health is set to meet with local government units. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
The implementation of the Executive Order Number 26 or the nationwide smoking ban remains a challenge for the Department of Health or DOH since it took effect last July 23rd. With the return of Secretary Duque as the DOH chief, he is set to face local government officials to discuss with them how to properly implement the new law. One problem the DOH chief sees is the different policies every city implements.
It's EO's laws, as you know, are easy to formulate,
but the real challenge is in the execution. Sasabihin mo doon, ito ang mga kaparusahan, ito yung penalties or schedule of penalties. I believe it's not just there, it has to be in the implementing rules. So, meron bang pwedeng makulong?
The new DOH chief also seeks to hold a dialogue with officials of Davao City and Makati City because of their successful implementation of the no-smoking policy. Secretary Duque adds the government should also make the public understand that it is serious in its campaign against smoking. That's why Duque says the DOH also plans to implement a massive social marketing campaign.
To ensure that the public knows why there is the ban and the reason behind the executive order signed by the president, and that we have to see how the penalties can be implemented as well. It's not enough apparently to just put there no smoking signs in public places, no? But really you have to show there what are the consequences if these violations are committed.
Former Health Secretary Pauline Obial previously said local government units should have smoke-free task force that would implement the smoking ban in their area of jurisdiction in order for them to strictly monitor those who would attempt to violate the law. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque welcomes the use of medical marijuana for research purposes. Aiko Miguel is back to tell us why.
There is already a provision on the compassionate use of medical cannabis, but with strict compliance with the FDA standards, the regulations, rules and regulations, as well as satisfying the requirements of safety, efficacy, and quality. But all of these are done in the context of research.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III is in favor of introducing medical marijuana but for medical research purposes only. Duque believes it will be helpful to make certain of the benefits of medical cannabis in treating a number of diseases. However, the Health Secretary warns of the possible negative effects of the plant to the overall state of a person,
which may impair your psychomotor, your cognitive functions, and therefore will increase the risk of differentiated or abnormal perceptions, depth perception, for example, and which in turn may lead to motor vehicular accidents. The medical cannabis in its synthetic form is more symptomatic. It's not really a treatment. It's more for symptomatic relief of, say, pain.
There is an ongoing debate as to whether to approve or not the use of medical marijuana in our country for humanitarian purposes as concerns of possible abuse continue. This despite recent approval of the House Committee on Health of the proposed legalization and regulation of medical marijuana. Experts under DOH Dangerous Drug Abuse Prevention and Treatment Program remind that the government should be wary of the cultivation of medical cannabis and it should have strict regulations on its use, specifically for research.
The DDB has issued DDB Board Regulation Number 1 for 2014, which so states that this is the amendment for the comprehensive guidelines on focus na lang natin on dispensing, manufacture, distribution, dispensing, and sale of other lawful acts in connection with dangerous drugs. At saka specific dito na nakalagay is Section 14 sa DDB Board Regulation, which is permits in relation to laboratory use and or the programs for medical or other scientific research or instructions training purposes.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Coming up on Y News. Amid the ongoing climate conference in Germany, the United Nations announces the year 2017 to be among the 3 hottest on record.
Investigators look into the mysterious death of the endangered sea turtles in El Salvador.
And an Austrian woman scales one of the world's most difficult climbing routes.
More from Y News after this break.
occasion, 7 Latin American ambassadors gathered through the very first Latin American book fair in the country yesterday. Leslie Longboan tells us why.
In a rare occasion, 7 Latin American ambassadors gathered through the very first Latin American book fair in the country yesterday. The ambassadors believe that through literature, they can introduce their culture and bring it closer to the Filipinos.
Our culture is unfortunately still relatively unknown in the Philippines. So if we combine our possibilities of action, the final result will be much deeper and will have a deeper impact.
Literature goes beyond the reality, to show what is in the mind of the people, what's in their imagination, in the way they think, in their fantasies. So I think it's a good way, to show how we think in that part of the world, which is very far away from here.
They add they are sure their books will be interesting to read for the Filipinos because of the many similarities of the two cultures.
The Latin Americans and the Filipinos, we share the same history, but also we share the same spirit. So the good thing is that when a Filipino read any of the Latin American authors, it's probably that you will feel so connected to the Latin American way of life.
I think they will be more interested in exploring our heritage because it's very similar to the Philippines in terms of we have been under Spanish ruling for many years as well as the Philippines.
The book fair offers various kinds of books such as fiction, novels, cultural and historical books. The Latin American books are available at National Bookstore Glorieta 1, Makati City. Leslie Longboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Those are the reasons behind the news, November 7, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Y News.